Today we're grinding feed for our chickens. The two main pieces of equipment that I use for this process is this AMA grain grinder and this Harbor Freight cement mixer. Grind the grains in here and then add the ground grain as well as the minerals and any whole grains into this mixer here and mix it up. You need a scale like this one. This is just a digital hanging scale, 5-gallon bucket to hang on it. Just tear it out. And I found this mixer can handle about 75 pounds of feed, and that's what we're grinding today. I buy our grains whole from a local farm. You can get them either in 50-pound bags or you can get them in bulk. I generally try to get them in these bulk barrels. It's easier to handle than handle in multiple bags. They're secure, mice don't get in them. For some things, they do provide a discount when you buy them in bulk. Barrel's getting pretty empty. For this recipe, we need 17 pounds of soybeans. I know that's about half or 3/4 of a bucket or so. So I'll probably do, I'll take about that much to the scale, and then I'll just take another half a scoop or so. Our scale is already tared for the bucket, so then we'll put the bucket on there. So right at 15 pounds, and I'll just pour in until we get to 17. This scale is only precise to 0.2 pounds. If I'm within 0.2 pounds, that's close enough for me. I do wear my earplugs with this because this grinder is pretty loud. Then I go ahead and just pour them in. And I'll just pour just a little bit and then go ahead and start the grinder, and then I'll pour the rest in. And the next thing I'll do is get the oats weighed out while the soybeans are grinding. So we're looking for 9 pounds of oats in this particular blend, which I'm gonna say it's probably close to that. Let's see. We've got 8 pounds, we need 9. It sometimes won't register that the weight changed unless you put more weight. So I'll just kind of push on it. Yep, so then we're right at 9 pounds. Since the bottom of the bowl is flat and the chute is kind of offset, when it gets down near the bottom, you kind of just have to rake it in by hand. Once I can see the bottom of the hopper, I stand right there with it. It'll start shooting it up in the air because it falls down on top of the blade, and then a blade shoots it straight up in the air. And so you'll have soybeans or corn or whatever you're grinding just flying out of there. We raised pigs, one round of 2 pigs, feeder pigs, last year, and I paid for this grinder with the savings on the feed. So for switching out these sieves, I just turn it over like this. I do go ahead and unplug it. Then it's just got these 2 nuts. You do have to have a 10mm wrench. The manual, I believe, referenced that it had wing nuts, and that's been on my list of something to look to see if I can find wing nuts. I don't know if just mine didn't get them or they changed the design or whatever, but having a wing nut on here would make it so that you don't have to have a wrench, which would be handy. I'll just go ahead and take this guy and knock it into my container. Try and get as much as I can down in there. And then I go for this largest one. There's 4 sizes that come with it. One of them I call extra small. I don't use the extra small one at all. Small for soybeans, medium is for corn and barley or wheat for your pig feed, and then large is I use for corn and oats in chicken feed. This has got ground soybean and ground oats in there. It's a little bit finer than what rolled would be, but it is still nice and fluffy. This recipe that I'm doing has whole wheat, non-ground at all. I prefer to just add the wheat to the bottom of the mixer. And then I'll go ahead and add this hopper here. For weighing out the minerals, I use this old kitchen scale because a lot of these measurements are in like 1/4 pounds. We're using 2 1/4 pound of this NutriBalancer, which looks like this is going to be the end of my NutriBalancer. It's going to use all of it. Let me just dump it in the hopper. Aragonite, which is our calcium for the layers. Chuck that one in there too. I tip it down until our top peg is in the 3rd hole. What I found is if you go any lower than that, it'll spill out. But if you go to that position, it does a pretty decent job of mixing. I'm sure you can see the dust flying up off of there, so I like to put this lid on here, which is the lid off of the barrels that we get the bulk feed in. And then I will let that run and mix while I'm grounding the corn. Then we stand it back up, take this lid off, add the corn to the hopper. Try not to spill it all. I call it half cracked corn. There is some ground corn, but there's also bigger pieces of nice cracked corn. I would prefer it to be just slightly larger, but this is the largest sieve that comes with this thing. Pop our lid back on, back down to position 3, and start it up and let it run. There's just a little pocket on the back of the mixer that tends to get clumps, so I will take it, then I'll just flip it on real quick to turn it over 180 degrees. Maybe not quite. You can also just turn it by hand. Try not to dump it all on the ground like I just did. Basically, I'm just pulling everything from the very, very back forward. And you can see right here, there's some that I just pulled down that doesn't have corn in it. So I'll just do that once after mixing about halfway through. Now that we're all mixed up, I slide this tub underneath here, or a 24-gallon tote. I'll start it just a little bit back to catch it all when I dump. You can just dump it right in. As you're pouring, I'll just slide it as far forward as we can like that now so that we catch it all. Just dump it all right down there. Kind of give it a little shake at the end. And that's it. There's usually just a little bit to kind of scrape out by hand. And there's our finished product. Ready to go feed the chickens. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it, and I hope to see you back here next time.